Hi foodies, welcome back. Today I'm making some fried hand apple pies. Yes, these are so delicious, guys. I used to love getting these at McDonald's, and no, this is not something you're gonna eat every day, but it's a treat. Let's get into it. So it's simple, guys. We're going to be using some Granny Smith apples. I'm using these because these are very tart, right? They're not just sweet. They have that nice tangy and sweet flavor. If you can't find these, fine. You can use a regular, gala apple, and then just add more lemon juice. So all I did was peel it. You can use your knife or your vegetable peeler. That's it, right? Use what you have at home. And then we are gonna get out the core. You can slice it and then just cut out the core with your knife, or you can go ahead and use an apple corer, and I will show you that one. So once we get that core out, the next thing we want to do is just to cut that up. So usually I'd make bigger chunks if I was doing a big apple pie, but because we're doing some small hand pies, we don't want the pieces of apple to be too big, all right? So these chunks here, afterwards I actually went in and cut all of those into half because they were a little bit too big, okay? You'll see why in a little bit. Okay, let's make the filling. Really simple filling, and there's a few ways to make apple filling. This is one of them. So easy. We're just gonna add the apple to a pan. There was no oil or anything in there, so just the pan, and this is over medium heat. I'm adding brown sugar because brown sugar gives color and depth in flavor, so don't use white sugar for this, okay? And some lemon juice. If you're not using Granny Smith apple, you might need more lemon juice to give it that nice tangy flavor, that tang. Now make sure your flame is not too high because of course we know that sugar can burn really fast, and we add some spices to this and make it nice and flavorful. You don't want it to be just flat, just apple and sugar. You have to add some really nice flavor in there. So looking at this, you can see that it is just thin and watery, right? So we need to get this thickened. One of the things that I use to thicken a sauce is a roux, okay? And we're going to be using two of the ingredients that are usually in a roux. So we are going to be using some butter and some flour to thicken this up. So we go in with some unsalted butter, of course, because you don't want to oversalt this, and just allow it to melt the same way we would do if we were making a roux, right? So melt the butter, and then we are going to add kind of a slurry to this. And you know that a slurry is usually water and flour, right? You can use cornstarch too if you want to. I'm using apple juice to mix this slurry. Usually we use water, but guess what? I have apple juice in the fridge, and that's gonna introduce even more apple flavor to this, so why not? Okay, so I'm using apple juice, mixing it with this. This could be flour or cornstarch, and we're gonna stir this into the pot. However, make sure you stir constantly because this can cause lumps, right? Because of the starch. So just keep whisking so those lumps don't form. So we just want to cook this for a few minutes. You don't want it to dry out too much, but you don't want it to be too runny. Okay, so just cook out that starch a little bit and cool this down. You need it to be very cool for the next steps, all right? Alright, I have a block of puff pastry here. It's not a pastry that I use very often, but it's really good for this recipe. So you're going to get a block. However, thaw that out, dust your rolling pin with some flour lightly, and then you're going to roll it very thin. So just remember that. It's going to look like a thick block, but you need to roll it thinly. Some packages come with 2 pieces. You're going to roll each piece thinly, and you're trying to get, you know, as kind of a square shape. Okay, you need it very thin because we're going to cut out some shapes out of this. If you feel like this is sticking to your rolling pin, which it did in some points, it just means you need to lightly dust your rolling pin just a little bit with some more flour. Don't do it heavily, just a light dusting. Okay. And if your square is not looking as perfect as you wanted it to, just use your finger and push those little pieces in. It's fine. It doesn't have to be that perfect. Don't worry about it. Just try to get it as square as possible. All right, your version of a square. So I just flipped this around, guys, and we still have our shape. We're going to cut this into 4 pieces now. So we're trying to get 4 squares again. It's simple, okay? Now just take one of those squares, right? And we're going to put the filling in. You don't want to pack it too much, but don't be scared to put a good amount, okay? Because you want it to basically just flow out once you break it in half, right? I used to love eating these apple pies from McDonald's, guys. I don't love a lot of things from McDonald's, but this is one of them. So we brush a little water, just water on the edges, just to seal it, because we're going to fold this over now. See, just fold it over, push up the apple if it's falling out, press that down. We need to seal it even more though, so we are going to use a fork. So just press down hard just to get a little crimped edge going on there, okay? Try not to prick the thing too much and get that apple oozing out. Just press down on the edges. Now if the perfectionist in you looks at these edges and you're like, I'm not feeling this, just use your knife and, you know, cut off those little pieces and make it even straighter. If that makes you happy, it's fine. All right, just don't cut off the part that you just crimped with the fork. All right, I'm just moving things around to get the apple all throughout, so I just gently push them to move them around. Okay, and that's it. There you go. If you're making a lot of these, keep the other ones in the fridge while you work. Okay, and I'm going to be using my deep fryer. This oil is not new oil because I used it to do some plantain and some fried dumpling, but that's fine. It's perfectly fine. So I'm just gonna fry these until golden brown. Usually 6 to 7 minutes is good, but you can watch them, toss them, you know, flip them over if they need to be flipped over, so you can get that golden brown all around. And you need to make sure that oil is preheated, guys, because you don't want the pastry to soak up the oil. If you're not using a deep fryer, just try to maintain a good medium to high heat. All right, and now we drain them. No paper towels. We want this to be crispy and remain so. So leave it on the wire rack, right? So any oil can drip off without it getting soggy on a paper towel, and that's it, guys. Okay, so I'm making a little bit of cinnamon sugar. That's just, white sugar with some cinnamon sprinkled in there. You can sprinkle as much. If you love cinnamon, you can do a little bit more than I did. Stir that around, and then we're gonna sprinkle all over these nice fried apple pies while they're hot. After that, you are good to go. These are really simple and delicious. It's such an easy dessert. Once you get through that puff pastry step, you're basically good to go. And it's so nice with some vanilla ice cream because it's hot, it's sweet and tart and crispy, and then you have the creamy vanilla ice cream. Oh my gosh, so good. It's best to have these warm, so I'd advise you to just share them with everyone immediately after draining them. If you need to reheat it, fine, put it in the fridge the next day. All you need to do is pop it in the toaster oven, or you could put it in your regular oven for just a few minutes at 350, and you are good to go. I mean, you can always microwave it, but that crispness is maintained by using a toaster oven or a oven. So look at this. Oh my gosh, look at that. So good, guys. Oh my gosh, amazing. I know you're gonna love it, and the kids will love it. Of course, this is not something we have every day, but treat yourself. Thanks for watching.